Right lads, and today we take a look back at one of the more recent rivalries in the League of Ireland, the rivalry between Dundalk FC and Cork City FC in the mid to late 2010s. Between 2014 and 2018, these two sides absolutely dominated Irish football, finishing first and second for 5 consecutive seasons and contesting the FAI Cup final for 4 years in a row. It would prove to be the most successful period for both clubs respectively, but most prominently Dundalk, and will provide a break for the 2010s from the Dublin dominance of the League of Ireland. You could probably also include Sligo's success earlier in the decade as well. Ironically enough, both clubs would come into the success off the back of financial turmoil. Dundalk had spent a large portion of the 2000s in the first division, and although they did win the FAI Cup in 2002 after being relegated, these years are often cited as some of the worst years in the club's history, not helped by the fact that their loud rivals were probably having the best period of success in their history. They would finally come back up in 2008 after being denied promotion in 2006 due to the IAG report, which deserves a whole other video upon itself. It would still take 5 years, however, between 2008 and 2012 for the club to get itself back on its feet, as they worked through an ownership crisis and a host of other embarrassments, such as defender Dave Rogers dropping his shorts in 2009 in front of Pats fans, which would lead to him being sacked and a legal battle afterwards between him and the club. But things did look like they were going in the right way in 2013 with the appointment of Stephen Kenny. Cork City's woes during this time period weren't as noticeable on the pitch, with the club winning the league in 2005, the FAI Cup in 2007 and Satanta Cup in 2008. More so off the pitch, as the club faced multiple problems such as the FIFA 2 of Colin Healy and Gareth Farrelly, who were ruled ineligible to play for Cork City as they'd already played for two clubs in the previous 12 months. The club entering an examinership in August of 2008 with debts of €800,000 and a wind up in the High Court, which would see them relegated in 2009 despite a third place finish. The club would be saved from death in early 2010 thanks to fan group Forest, and were promoted back to the Premier Division in 2011. However, like with Dundalk, it would be a key managerial appointment that would see a change of fortunes with the appointment of John Caulfield in 2014. The 2013 season would see Dundalk fall just short of the league title St Patrick's Athletic, a surprise considering the uncertainty around the club at the start of the season. However, it would prove to be a pivotal season for Dundalk, with the arrival of players such as Stephen O'Donnell, Richie Towell, Pat Hubin and Brian Gartland, who would prove crucial in the coming seasons, alongside Chris Shields, who had signed the year before. 2014, however, would be the big season for both clubs, with both of them under new management. Cork City would go on an unbeaten run early on in the season, however it would be a meeting between the two sides in Oriel Park on May 2nd, which would see Dundalk win 4-0 and start off an unbeaten run for them, which ran until early September, with the Lily Whites only losing 3 games all season. Dundalk would go on to win the title at home against Cork City with a 2-0 win on the last game of the season, a season which would also see them win the League Cup, the club's first League and League Cup double, alongside a second round exit in the Europa League qualifiers to Croatian side Hajduk Split. Key names this season being the signing of Daryl Horgan for Dundalk and departure of Brian Lenihan for Cork City. Dundalk would start off the 2015 season as they meant to go on with a 2-1 win over St Patrick's Athletic in the President's Cup final, their first of 4 trophies for that season. The title race in 2015 would not be as close as the previous year, with Cork failing to beat Dundalk in the 3 meetings throughout the season. The 2015 season would turn out to be a standout season for Richie Towell, finishing as top scorer with 25 goals, with Dundalk winning the title with 3 games to spare in Tallaght Stadium after a 1-1 draw at the Shamrock Rovers. Dundalk would also go on to beat Rovers in the Leinster Senior Cup final before the final game of the League of Ireland calendar, the FAI Cup final, the first of 4 finals they would play against each other. Dundalk would of course come out on top, leaving the side 1 trophy short of winning every domestic trophy in a season. 2016 season, however, would see a change of fortune for Cork City with the arrival of one Shawnee Maguire from, ironically enough, Dundalk, with City starting off the season with a 2-0 win over Dundalk in the President's Cup final. This would prove to be one of 4 times Cork would get the best of Dundalk throughout the season, winning 2 out of the 3 league meetings 1-0. However, both of these results would prove to be futile, as Dundalk would go on to win their 3rd title in a row, with 2 games to go thanks to a 2-1 win over Bows. They would however miss out on the League Cup and Leinster Senior Cup, not that any Dundalk fan really cared, as this was of course the season they got to the Europa League group stages, a topic I've covered in a video of its own. I'll link it up here or here somewhere. Cork 2 would have quite a successful run in Europe, however would lose in the 3rd round qualifiers to Belgian side Genk. Once again it'd be down to the FAI Cup final as the final meeting between the two sides of the season. A game Dundalk would lose thanks to a goal from the man they'd let leave to their title rivals. 2017, however, would prove to be the season the Leesiders would never forget. Once again, it would be the President's Cup that would be the season opener, a game that Cork would go on to win 3-0, which would serve as a prelude to a 22-game unbeaten run Cork would proceed to go on. A run that would include a 3-0 win in Oriel Park with a hat-trick from one Shawnee Maguire. Cork would hit a bit of a slump midway through the season, not helped by the departure of Shawnee Maguire to Preston. However, City would still go on to win the title by 7 points. Dundalk would win the League Cup, and once again, it was yet another FAI Cup final between the two sides. After a goal apiece for each side, it would go to penalties, which of course Cork would win, winning the club's first domestic double in its history. 2018 would of course prove to be the last year of this title rivalry, and after missing out on equaling 4 in a row, a record of course set by the great Shamrock Rovers side of the 1980s, Dundalk were determined to take the title back. Another President's Cup final loss would not deter Dundalk, with the clubs meeting 4 sides in the league instead of 3 this time, due to the league being reduced from 12 teams to 10, with Dundalk winning 3 out of the 4 matches. They would once again show their dominance, losing just 3 games and drawing 6 all season, winning the league once again with 3 games to spare and finishing 10 points above Cork. For the final time, the two sides would meet at their peak in the cup final, and for the first time, the game would actually finish in normal time, with Dundalk winning 2-1 thanks to a winner from Patrick McElhaney, securing the 4th double in Dundalk's history. The season's end would also see the departure of Stephen Kenny to the Ireland under-21s, with Vinnie Perth taking over as manager. 2019 would of course signal the end of this rivalry. Although Dundalk would go on to win a title under Vinnie Perth, Cork would pretty much fall off a cliff, with Caulfield being sacked pretty early on into the season after a series of poor results, and City finishing the season in 8th place with just 9 wins all season, making way for the rise of Shamrock Rovers, who would serve as Dundalk's main title rival for 2019 and eventually lead to their domestic dominance, which is still ongoing as of 2023. With both sides now facing more difficult times, Dundalk currently undergoing a change of ownership and having finished 5th in 2023, meanwhile Cork were a bit worse, having been relegated to the first division. There's no doubt fans of both of these clubs look back on these years as some of the greatest in their respective clubs' histories. Right lads, thank you to anyone who got to this point in the video. This of course took a lot of research, a lot of digging on the internet for all sorts of news articles and reports and everything in between, which of course means I left a few things out of this video or just missed them entirely. But of course, comment below if I did miss anything and recommend what you'd like to see next.